One of my favorite subgenres of horror are films involving zombies. Night of the Living Dead, which will be reviewed later on this month, and Train to Busan are some of my all-time favorites. However, I forgot how good 28 Days Later was, and this film was directed by Danny Boyle, came out in 2003, so it's celebrating its 20th anniversary. And it has a really all-star cast. Cillian Murphy shows up here, who's probably going to win Best Actor. That's who I will put my money on as of at this moment of recording for Oppenheimer. But the cast of this movie is great. Cillian Murphy, Naomie Harris, Brendan Gleeson, and I want to shout out Christopher Eccleston as well. There's a lot more people in here that pop up. If you haven't seen 28 Days Later, it takes place 4 weeks after this mysterious virus takes out of the UK, creating a bunch of zombies, and the guy wakes up from a coma, and Andrew Lincoln isn't in this, right? It's not The Walking Dead. Okay, so The Walking Dead, I take some liberties with this, I believe, as well, but Cillian Murphy's character of Jim wakes up 4 weeks after this virus takes over the UK, and he's wandering around the city trying to figure out where everybody went, and then eventually gets attacked by zombies. He gets protected by Naomie Harris and another guy here, and they eventually get found by Brendan Gleeson and his daughter, and they're seeking sanctuary and survival and going to this military facility. But what's really cool about 28 Days Later, it does sound a lot like The Walking Dead, which came out much later, and you can't help but draw the comparisons here. However, what I really liked about this movie, it's so gritty. Now, Danny Boyle's films have a certain look to them that kind of feel really gritty. There's some really polished ones like Steve Jobs, and I feel parts of like Slumdog Millionaire are super polished. But 28 Days Later is really gritty and kind of looks grimy from the screen as well. It's not as like HD quality. It kind of has that same like Train Spotting. It kind of looks like the same there too. But Danny Boyle has a really weird way to directing British actors that gets the most out of him. Cillian Murphy is so young and unrecognizable compared to how he looks now. But man, it's so fascinating. His acting chops right at the jump are fantastic, and being awakened and walking around the city is some really iconic sequence there. And I don't remember this movie as much as 28 weeks later, but I'm sure this 28 Days Later again makes me super excited to watch 28 weeks later. And I would totally be down, like Cillian Murphy said, to have a 28 months later. I think that would be a fun idea if they ever decided to do that. But 28 Days Later, some of my favorite moments in this film is that when the introduction of Brendan Gleeson's like completely in SWAT armor and they're in the apartment complex. I think that's cool. And I actually I thought I remembered them staying up there a lot longer, but it's a kind of a blink and you miss it kind of a moment. But it's the introduction of Brendan Gleeson's character here is awesome. Him and his daughter surviving here. And have the addition to Naomie Harris and Cillian Murphy, it brings that cast up so much. It's pretty recognizable faces, really young. It's in 2003, like 20 years ago. So fascinating to see that. Danny Boyle does a really good job with the action here, bringing some really awesome zombie set pieces here. Fast zombies, unlike The Walking Dead and other zombie films too. I think Train to Busan has some really fast zombies, and it probably took some inspiration from 28 Days Later. And there's other zombie movies that are moving really fast, like World War Z, which I also have a review for that. So check the show notes down below or the pinned comment section. The whole cast is really good. Naomie Harris kind of feels unbalanced a little bit. There's scenes where you're like, she's completely standoffish. She's only about herself. And then she becomes very kind of sentimental and also kind of like realize that she's kind of more of a damaged character. But the balance kind of feels off for her. And this movie came out like 20 years ago, so I'm not afraid to spoil something here. Brendan Gleeson's scene where he actually dies here is just kind of heartbreaking because he dies right in front of his daughter. And that whole sequence in the military base with that, then when they finally get there, they're kind of heartbroken, like no one's around. And then damn crow gets blood in Brendan Gleeson's eye. What a way to go out and turns into a zombie right there. I do really love Brendan Gleeson. He's one of my favorite actors, so seeing him in this, I totally kind of forgot that he was in this. So it was really a pleasant surprise here. When they get to that military base, that's what my wife actually remembered the most. That is what happens there, and how the military is kind of like just scumbags in this movie. But them breaking down and Cillian Murphy's like storming the castle moment to try to save Naomie Harris and the other young kid who plays Brendan Gleeson's daughter here, saving the women in his life at this point. It was really fun to see, and it's very stealth-like, and so how it's filmed and shot with the colors and explosions happening was really well done, and I gotta give Danny Boyle some credit for that. And I think in a different director, this movie would have been super polished and maybe not as effective. I love the grittiness of it because it feels dirty and grimy because it feels like a city that's been completely abandoned here, and I really dug that. The ending of the movie does set up some interesting possibilities, and honestly, I haven't watched 28 days or 28 weeks later. That's the point of the recording, and I honestly can't remember if Cillian Murphy's in that, but it makes me more excited to go back and watch that one. 28 Days Later, really awesome film that I'm really high on. I'm definitely giving it 3 stars here. I definitely need to watch this one more because I love this genre, but I always go back to Train to Busan or Night of the Living Dead. Those are my 2 go-to for zombies. And there's other like zombie-related movies too, like Dead Snow, and even Zombievers is a fantastic watch. But what do you guys think of 28 Days Later? This is my really quick review on the film, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and takes on this film. Another great point about this movie is that it feels kind of real to like how people would respond to it. You have a couple of people just wanting to survive and kind of have their little moments of sanity and having some kind of like enjoyment in this time, but of course they're kind of doomed to kind of die, essentially. And you get people like the scumbag military people who are going to try to take advantage of people that are maybe weaker or less fortunate as them. And so there's a kind of balance there. Like I said, it has so many comparisons you can make to The Walking Dead, because I feel like Walking Dead is like a longer version of this. Instead of just having like these 2 movies, it's definitely a longer kind of version of just kind of like struggling but trying to do the best you can to survive with those kind of weird groups that are also trying to hunt down the people here. I kind of dig it, and like I said, the biggest takeaway here is the grittiness of the film, and it makes me want to watch the more polished 28 weeks later. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want to see a 28 months later directed by Danny Boyle or a different director? Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about it. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Again, my name is Adam. I've survived the zombie apocalypse. I'll see you later.